folks, welcome back to Thunder Mesa Studio. And today we have a story about putting several different things together to make something totally new. And when you think about it, that's what creativity is all about. Thunder Mesa has had a digitally projected fireworks show since 2018. It's a lot of fun, but it does beg the question, where exactly did those fireworks come from? At the same time, I've had this high-res photo of a fun graphic from Disneyland that's been gathering digital dust in my files for years. I've always wanted to do something with it, but have never been sure quite what. After a couple of false starts, I finally hit on the idea of building a traveling fireworks wagon, using some old kit parts that were given to me by a friend, coupled with the printed paper modeling techniques that I've been developing over the years. Now I'm ready to share the results. So here's how the build of my fireworks wagon came together, step by step. It all started with an old miniature masterpieces covered wagon kit dating from about 1954. These kits have been reissued many times over the years by multiple manufacturers, and you can still find them on resale sites like eBay and Etsy. I only used the chassis and wheel parts from the kit to get a head start on my wagon. These parts were assembled according to the kit instructions and then primed with Krylon Camouflage Light Tan, a nice flat paint that's quick drying and does a good job of representing wood. The wheels were then painted with Vallejo Red, while the iron tires and hubs got a coat of grimy black. Then I went back and dry brushed on some grays and tans to give the frame an old, weather-beaten look. With the chassis and wheels complete, I could then turn my attention to the wagon box itself. I took some careful measurements of the frame and then used a high-res photo of this Disneyland sign from Frontierland as a starting point to lay out the sides of my wagon in Adobe Photoshop. Using high-res photos of real wooden textures downloaded from the internet, I filled in the other parts of my wagon, using copy-paste and doing my best to match the wood grain colors of the Disneyland sign. I used my inkjet printer and Epson matte premium presentation paper to print out copies of my design, taking care that both inkjet paper and photo quality were selected in the printer's dialog box. Okay, well, I've got the printout for my wagon box. As you can see, I printed some extras, and those will come into play later. First thing I'm going to need to do is take one of these and laminate it to some illustration board. So I've cut this 3-inch wide strip of illustration board. Cut one of these out here carefully and roughly. Not cutting out along the edges of the shape yet. That'll come after it's laminated. I'll show you exactly how I do this. Yeah. Just going to take a piece of corrugated cardboard and tape this upside down here. Each side there. And now we'll spray the back of this with some good old 3M Super 77. Okay, we got a nice even coat on there. It gives you a handy little handle. Notice I'm putting this good side down. This is the good side, the usable side of the illustration board. That's face down. We're actually gluing this to the back. Got our brayer. Okay. Now, take a good sharp blade and cut these pieces out. assemble these pieces, there's two more things I need to do. One is I need to make a floor for the wagon, and I also need to paint these white edges the same kind of silvery gray as the rest of the wagon. So we'll make the floor first. I've got some watercolors here. This is burnt sienna and this is cobalt blue. Now with these two colors you can make almost any shade of gray imaginable, and it makes a really nice silvery gray look for wood. Once they're dry you can spray them with some dull coat or fix, and they're just as permanent as anything else. I'm just going to mix these in more or less equal measure. A little more blue, get that kind of bluish gray tint. See how it just sinks down into that grain and those scribe lines that I made? Kind of vary it here and there. Make it darker in some places, lighter on some boards. Pretty close. Alright, now I can use the same tones to tint these edges, at least the ones that are going to be visible. Okay, now while I still have the paints out, I want to paint the inside of this front box here, this front seat. This is why we put the illustration board good side in. I just want to get a nice gray silvery tone on there to match the rest. Doesn't have to be too particular or precise. Alright, let's put some stuff together. Pro tip, don't use the same brush that you use for watercolors for glue. You can use the same water if you're done with it, but don't use the same brush. Good beginning of a joint. Alright, now here's the trick. We're going to take a second printout and we're going to laminate it to a thinner backing. This is Bristol board. It's used in comics a lot. At least it was in the old days when they inked everything by hand. It's got a nice, you can get it with different tooth. This is kind of smooth. And is that going to be long enough? Oh, so close. Okay. Now we're going to do the front of this seat. And for that, I'm just going to use another piece. I'm going to use this right down there. Okay, here's what I've come up with for the footrest down here. Piece of scale 4x4 that I've sanded to match this angle. I have two pieces of 1x12, which will make the actual step. So I'm going to stain these and then we'll put them together. Decided to add one more fun little detail here. These corbels on each side. These are some laser cut pieces I have, just from the scrap box from other kits, and but they look nice on the corners right there, and they do. So next we'll do the roof. To help support the roof, I put a piece of this is 8x8 in here, right in the middle, and I'm going to add another little arch to the front for my graphics sheet. Right there. Okay. For the roofing itself, I'm just going to use some scale 8x8s and move them all the way around over the top there to create that curved roof look. Black construction paper and glue right on top of that. Let's do that. Okay, I think our wagon box is just about done. Just a little light weathering on the roof with some dry brushing, and I'm toning that down with some chalks. Here's our frame that I made yesterday. And we're fitting on there. We're just going to dab here. Dab here, and a dab up here. And that should do it. I think we got ourselves a wagon.
Then it was time to add the driver. He's a modified people scale figure that I painted and detailed to resemble a Chinese immigrant from the 19th century, complete with a long braided queue made from crochet thread. The mules are from another old Revell kit, and I painted them to look like, well, mules. I finished off the wagon rigging with black thread, and the reins are crochet thread, stained a dark brown. Now for my favorite part of any project like this, installing it on the layout.
Well, now we know where those fireworks in the skies above Thunder Mesa came from. I hope you enjoyed the build, folks. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Thunder Mesa Patreon subscribers can get an exclusive download of the Fireworks Wagon artwork created just for this project. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Thunder Mesa. Until next time, amigos, adios for now.